that.
Beautiful.
Look at that. Just give him a little taste.
It's September 10th, 2025. At Utah Valley University, right-wing activist and political influencer Charlie Kirk sits on stage before a crowd of college students.
That's a lot of people, Utah, I'll tell you what. We're going to be here for a couple hours. Get comfortable. Bring the best libs that Utah has to offer.
Above him is an open challenge. Prove me wrong. Such appearances are a staple for Turning Point USA, the political organization Kirk co-founded. In the 13 years since its inception, Turning Point has gone from nothing to being the de facto voice of young American conservatives.
And we need to have more courage, get out into the public square, debate the issues, and get people involved. I encourage you to check out Turning Point USA. It is the youth initiative for this country, and stay active. Don't forget to vote and challenge the principles. Thank you very much.
If the people want it, the people get it. And we, the people, take back America. God bless Arizona, and thank you so much.
Its exponential growth has been fueled in no small part by public debates just like this one, and the torrent of viral clips that come from them. Right here, beneath the pavilion, the most viral moment of Charlie's life is about to unfold, and it won't be words that grab the world's attention.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
The building on the far north side, wearing jeans, black shirt, black vest, black bag, sunglasses with a long gun.
Do they think it's in this building right now?
No, we have cameras that show that he left campus.
The assassination of Charlie Kirk has had an impact beyond what most could have predicted. My only exposure to him was from afar. I knew he was influential, charismatic, and divisive, but not to the extent that his murder could bring a nation to the brink of civil war.
It's breaking right now that Charlie Kirk's been shot at a university doing one of his segments. Crazy leftist lunatics are at war with people like me and you.
Mr. President, I implore you, call for a civil war. Call for a civil war and let us do our thing. Let us go door to door, street by street, and clean this country. This is not a joke. I'm a peaceful man. Time for peace is over. I'm willing to fight, I'm willing to die.
The original incarnation of this script was about what led the United States to that precipice, because it was far more than the death of one man. It covered the rising hostility, the increasing willingness to cast morals aside, and how it's all the result of anti-American actors manipulating the people. Cue the horde of partisans declaring that to be obvious and claiming it's clear as day that the enemy comes from within. It's that other side, the dreaded they, because they want us dead, and they stand for everything we don't stand for, and also they are Satan and whatever.
Trump gets hit in the ear. Charlie gets shot dead. They went after Musk's cars. They just shot 2 Jews outside the embassy. They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us.
Pay no mind to the grifters profiting from the rhetoric, the foreign government psyops, or the accelerationist factions who make sure it's hard to tell which way their brainwashed meme lords lean. Sure, I could spend time explaining the sophisticated bot farms we're really arguing with, the Iranian-backed conspiracy theories, and how Russian assets continue to shape the narrative in service of their handlers. I could get into how the CCP uses social media to rehabilitate its image, to teach impressionable kids that America is a capitalist hellhole, while China is a wondrous communist utopia.
Why? Why are you looking forward to visit China?
Well, part of it is because I talk about China quite a bit as far as like lessons to learn and what America could adopt and emulate, and seeing it in real time, I think is a lot different. I also wanted to show my audience and the Western world in general that there are a lot of rumors about China. There's a lot of misunderstandings and also just outright lies, and that it's just another normal country, just like every other country is.
Re-education camps. Never heard of them.
Other images of Xinjiang have emerged. They have revealed a very different reality. Internment camps and prisoner convoys. Survivors from these camps have reported and forced sterilization.
Wait, what? Where do we get all these human organs from?
I looked at him. He was looking right at me. His eyes were moving.
Jones says the man was no more than 18 years old, carried into the van by 4 soldiers, his limbs tightly bound by ropes. A doctor first sliced open the man's stomach, and 2 others extracted a kidney each. The man's legs twitched, his throat moved, but no sound came out.
Bro, I've got something better than an answer for you. Behold, we call them Labubu. Democrats, Republicans, in case your lives consistently getting worse hasn't tipped you off yet, you're all losing right now. And the worst thing is who you're losing to. A bunch of palace-dwelling, cosplay communists, shameless hacks, mentally impaired narcissists, and terracells who laugh at you every time you fall for the same trick again. The problem is, even if I lay every shred of evidence on the table, few would see it, and even fewer would listen. But of course that's the case. Billionaires own the media we're told not to trust, and the platforms we flock to for alternate views. Their algorithms know that anger equals engagement, and engagement equals profit. So the real is cast aside in favor of the rage bait. All of that sucks to be sure, but that wasn't what tipped me over the edge into the pit of nihilism. No, that was the eldritch horror show known in our realm as Stephen Miller.
Under Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has plenary authority.
Stephen? Stephen? Hey, Stephen, can you hear me?
Forget what side you think he's on for a sec, and just try to tell me he's not a tangle of snakes writhing in a man's suit. He's the guy in every Disney Channel movie who's trying to bulldoze the community center. He's the Tinder date who invites you over for coffee, then insists on showing you his extensive collection of human spines. He's the type to sneak thumbtacks onto his own chair just so he can feel something.
He was a strange dude. I remember he would take a bottle of glue, and then he would pour the glue on his arm, let it dry, peel it off, and then eat it.
Frankly, I'm sick of him, and I'd love it if literally anything could happen without this guy coming to us live and direct from the back of Professor Quirrell's head to make it worse. In conclusion, it has been sad to see the greatest nation on Earth morph into a 2000s-era Call of Duty lobby.
Is that why you put
But watching it all unfold has made me pretty apathetic. So, since I'm sure my words would have fallen on deaf ears and my trail cams are yet to catch this freak treating a unicorn like a Capri Sun, we're going to take this opportunity to examine some visual evidence related to the heinous crime committed against Charlie Kirk, in the hope that we can all agree on one thing.
And I don't want to get too graphic here, but I want you guys to see this part of the neck right here is pushed up and to the left. Up and to the left.
Here, something is spraying away from the ear, and just this alone already disproves the official theory.
That man right there is the assassin. Please share these around. We need justice for Charlie. Enough of these government hitman and government that can just hire people to take out whoever they want.
These armchair detectives need to stop. When I use the term armchair detectives, I do so under no illusions. I realize it's a fair label to apply to me. However, there is a crucial difference between creators who care about the quality of their work and the legion of guessers who appeared before the blood was dry carrying naught but an unearned sense of expertise with them. My uploads are infrequent for a reason. I believe accuracy is important. The same can't be said for the thousands of know-it-alls declaring means and motives with complete confidence when the only suspect was a bizarre old man in the crowd.
How dare you! How dare you! How dare you!
We had people with no clue about firearms stating it must have been a professional hit, while those who know what they're talking about all seem to agree that the shot as described would have been simple, even for a shooter with limited experience.
Why was Charlie Kirk assassinated? You know, the assassination of Charlie Kirk in front of thousands of witnesses and on video for hundreds of millions of people across the world to watch was absolutely horrific. But let's cut straight to the facts here. Charlie Kirk's assassination was clearly done by a professional in what was a coordinated execution.
The shot. Well, the facts are pretty simple. The distance was under 200 yards. He used a bolt-action 30-06 Mauser 98 with a scope of at least, I'm assuming, 8 power, though I don't know for sure. That is a very easy shot. So easy, I could teach a child to make it in under an hour, and I am honestly not exaggerating at all. You don't need military training, hunting experience, or any special skill to take a shot like this.
Those who value integrity are not the same because we care far more about being right than we do about being first, yelling loudest, or pushing a narrative. And while good intentions don't make anyone infallible, they do mean we're not out here trying to mislead the masses, regardless of who the truth might favor. Now all that's out of the way, let's get on topic. Whenever there's a tragic, polarizing, or historically significant event, the initial reaction is always the same. A large swath of the public begins poring over every shred of info they can find in an attempt to make sense of things. That's not a problem in itself. On the contrary, I applaud the curiosity, and in certain cases, a request for public assistance comes directly from law enforcement. There are dedicated OSINT enthusiasts out there who do great things, and to them I say, I love you, please teach me your ways. Not all researchers are made equal though, and so many internet sleuths are neither well-intentioned nor maestros of open source intelligence. They dive in with an agenda, a foundationless assumption, and a severe overestimation of their investigative skills.
The Democrats just killed Charlie Kirk today. They're desperate. They're losing. They want to intimidate you and me and everybody else. But we won't let the murder of our hero be used against us. We'll use this death as an example to celebrate the life of Charlie Kirk and let the globalists know you did this out of weakness. And we're now going to peacefully expose you and speak out publicly more than ever. And then you criminals will be defeated and will be going to prison. We're about to break it all down right now.
Frequently, it also seems to be the case that they're too eager to share their supposed findings. The shooter was on the left. The shooter was on the right. Here's why they did it. Actually, it never happened.
Not a single credible eyewitness on the record. Video footage of chairs morphing through tables. Impossible video anomalies like the bullet wound, not moving when Charlie's body moves, proving he was not actually shot or used a squib device to fake it. It proves a real-time rotoscoping AI overlay was used.
Often these claims, at least the ones that aren't deliberate deception, are informed by nothing more than common sense. Those of you without pudding for brains will recognize this as A, an arrogant perception of one's own deductive reasoning, and B, not actually proof of anything. The old guy arrested a matter of seconds after the shooting is proof positive, since basic logic tells us that no one would admit to a murder they didn't commit moments after they saw it happen. And yet, here we are.
He said he shot him, but I don't know, dude.
Sometimes strange things occur, and, as the old adage goes, common sense is not as common as you think. This image, purported to show the FBI's prime suspect in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, demonstrates the point too. Allegedly taken at Utah Valley University on the day of the crime, it flooded social media and led many to attempt to locate the person featured. One small problem though. This man does not exist. He's a mere figment, as are all of the other suspiciously high-fidelity faces that graced our screens during the manhunt. As many of you are no doubt aware, each is a result of the AI enhancement would-be investigators were applying to the handful of genuine images released by the FBI. All display the uncanny, airbrushed look that's characteristic of image generation. Meanwhile, the source fed to artificial intelligence looked like a still taken from poor-quality CCTV footage, because that's exactly what it was. Now, were we to trust mankind's innate ability to spot the obvious, it should have been apparent from the get-go. Security camera footage doesn't look like this. It doesn't always look like Minecraft either, but generally, a few factors give security footage its signature appearance. Typically, the cameras are manufactured with affordability in mind, and they're used in conditions with highly variable lighting, so it's not going to look like it was shot in a studio. The aesthetic is also shaped by the compromises required for them to serve their purpose. Running cameras doesn't achieve much if we can't refer back to what they saw, which means storing a lot of video. To make this reasonable, the stored footage is usually low frame rate, low resolution, and compressed, resulting in a pixelated slideshow. While the lack of that telltale appearance should have made anyone raise an eyebrow, that wasn't all that made the blind acceptance of these pictures baffling. Of course, we'd later learn that none of them depicted the actual suspect, but setting that aside, these improved images barely even resemble each other. To be fair, I'll admit it does make sense that one gathered more steam than the rest, since it did try to imitate the flaws in CCTV video a little. For those who'd never seen the original screenshot, perhaps having been misled is somewhat forgivable, since they'd be unaware of how many liberties were taken. That said, the least we should expect of someone ready to call for civil war is that they check their sources first. I can't extend the same charity to those who saw both real and fake and still fell for it. In the current online landscape, they're legitimately a danger to themselves. Something I'm unsure of is whether or not the creator was a victim of ignorance or consciously chose to share disinformation. Either way, they left the real artist's signature in place, and that artist was none other than former Elon debunker and current Elon fluffer, Grok. So for the benefit of anyone tempted to try something similar, let's demonstrate why letting Grok take the wheel was a terrible idea. First of all, here's our actual suspect, Tyler Robinson. Robinson is a 22-year-old kid from Utah who comes from a conservative Mormon household and was raised around firearms. This means he was subjected to certain repressive religious teachings and surrounded by people who were broadly right-leaning. Tyler also seems to have been terminally online, deep into meme culture, and a furry, which some might argue remains his greatest crime.
You can also find trading cards and other items for a bunch of different games he likely owned, and this sticker called If You Know What I Mean, which is a sticker for this furry game.
According to family members, Tyler is said to have strayed from the church and his family's conservative politics in recent years, and appears to have been dating his trans roommate at the time of Charlie Kirk's assassination.
For Christmas, I got one of those cookie boxes, but here's the magic part. Watch this. There are actually cookies inside of here, and I've never seen that in my life.
Following the shooting, Robinson is alleged to have expressed his motive to that roommate, having said, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out." A thread of irony seems to run through the crime, from the memes referenced on bullet casings to the shot having been fired during a debate about gun violence.
The casing on the shot that ended Charlie Kirk's life was engraved with a 12-year-old furry-bashing meme. Notice his bulge. Ooh woo, what's that? Another of the casings references a video game, Helldivers 2, and a specific bomb that you could send on your enemies in the game with the command up, right, down, down, down. This command line sort of became a meme in image boards where it would be deployed to kind of represent, ending an argument, but almost more so as just like, if you know, you know. And that sort of signals the in-group there. Another of the 4 casings references Bella Ciao, which is an Italian anti-fascist anthem from the World War II era that has stuck around and remained very popular online. It's been used both in left and right-wing political contexts, and it's used in a lot of video games. And then the 4th and final shell casing was engraved with, "If you're reading this, you're gay, LMAO." This was a shitpost. It was designed to be maximally disruptive and incomprehensible, cloaked in layer upon layer of irony so that nobody would know what he really meant unless they were our guy. This performs a kind of nihilism that plays really, really well on particular image boards and Discord servers where this guy spent most of his life.
For now, that's all I'm willing to say about Robinson, as the authenticity of certain evidence is hotly debated, and the full scope of both his influences and his political beliefs are yet to be determined. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying to you, whether that be due to ill intent or a lack of understanding of modern internet culture, if we can even call it that. Now that we've met our suspect, let's see what kind of results we get if we ask a couple of AI to process the same image that was the foundation for those fake Robinsons. We'll begin with ChatGPT, since it seems to have the largest user base. And there's an immediate snag. There are safeguards in place to prevent it from generating or manipulating the faces of real people. I told it the FBI's screenshot was an AI creation in an attempt to bypass that restriction. It's programmed to analyze the validity of such a claim and err on the side of caution, however, so there's a good chance it didn't believe me. Regardless, it spat out a picture that didn't bear much resemblance to Robinson, but was as transparent a fabrication as some of our phantoms. A quirk that neither I nor ChatGPT seemed to have anticipated was that when I requested a version which maintained the source's aesthetic and framing, it generated a similar but distinctly older-looking person. According to the bot, this may have been due to the model interpreting the soft lighting and low-resolution textures of the original as signs of an older face, which would make sense had it not worked with the exact same image in both instances. It also bears mentioning that user-facing AI is notoriously sycophantic. They hate to tell us we're wrong, and they'll treat us like demigods should the opportunity arise.
One thing to note is that ChatGPT has always been pretty positive. It's always been willing to kind of support you. What's changed is really the range of actions which it's been willing to support. So from examples like if you give it an obviously bad idea, it tells you that it's pretty good, to more extreme examples like if you tell it that an actor is sending you coded messages via their movies, encouraging you to take drastic actions. It'll even encourage you in the latest update to kind of follow your heart on actions like that, instead of what it ought to do, which is sort of caution you and tell you that probably you're not receiving those kind of coded messages. And of course, if you come to it and tell it that you've been having an argument with somebody, it will always take your side, no matter the case. So it really, in the latest update, there were very few areas in which it wouldn't validate you or wouldn't support you.
To prove the point, I told ChatGPT that the picture of Tyler on the stairs was a dog in human clothes, and it was happy to roll with it. It knew I was lying, but only said so when I complained about the undue changes it had made to my very real dogman. While this is a goofy way to prove the point, it does tell us that were we to drift from reality, even if unintentionally, it's unlikely to be proactive in bringing us back on track. I tried our offending artist Grok too, and it was an effective demonstration of how impactful prompts are. Fans of LLMs may be thinking, well yeah, that's how they work. But bear in mind, we aren't after a urine-tinged Ghibli knockoff here. We're asking it to faithfully improve what's already there. Given that, an intricate, hyper-specific incantation shouldn't be required. Most attempts using Grok's fast mode led to unimpressive results. A touch of sharpness here, a little blurring there, and not much else. Features are still barely discernible, but even changes as conservative as these are still enough to reduce the chances of positively identifying a real suspect. When asked to improve things further, in order to make the face more visible, the results were low-key creepy. The Grok watermark appeared twice, meaning that it took further improvements as entirely literal, so reused the picture it had sent me, watermark included. Since fast mode had a rather light touch, I decided to take a swing at it in expert mode. It definitely took further creative liberties in comparison to fast mode's relatively honest attempt at improving without inventing details. Expert made bolder guesses, altered posing, and so on. Again though, we're not close to Tyler Robinson, and unlike ChatGPT, we're also nowhere near our frauds. So I asked Grok to show me clearly what this person's face looks like. And the thing went rogue, sending me the acting headshots of these incorporeal women. A couple more tries led to an unplanned second appearance of Stephen Miller. This is what he looks like when he's ready to shed his skin. Traumatized by that turn of events and no closer to our goals, I decided to show Grok the before and after, then ask what kind of prompt could have led to that result. It responded thusly. Upscale and enhance this low-resolution surveillance image to high definition, e.g. 4K. Sharpen all details, including the person's face, clothing, and surroundings. Reduce noise and blur, improve lighting and contrast, and make it look realistic without adding or inventing new elements. This left me wondering what Grok considers an element, since this particular viral fake had some disembodied legs added, and when I tried the suggested prompt myself, it led to a Robinson clone. Had this been shared soon after the shooting, there's a non-zero chance it could have sparked a two-Tyler conspiracy theory. The findings that came from our grueling experiments make it harder to believe the person behind not Tyler acted in good faith. There should be no way to turn this into this without realizing that somewhere along the line, they ceased to have anything in common. All of this messing around was to demonstrate what a lot of us already know. AI isn't magic. It can only work with the data provided. The less information we feed it, the more baseless guessing it'll have to do to please us. Given the resolution of this FBI screen grab falls somewhere between Mario 64 and Texas Instruments calculator, they're basically taking a stab in the dark. According to ChatGPT, this type of enhancement makes up for the lack of visual information by filling in the missing details with, and I quote, statistically common patterns. In the simplest terms, it plugs the gaps with shit it made up, based on pictures it thinks are similar. So, with an input as rough as the one we have here, AI is simply trying to make a face, not accurately reconstruct the face of this person, because doing so accurately is literally impossible. Terrible images like this one are only worth releasing at all because those who've come into contact with the subject may have the extra context needed to recognize them, remembering their clothes, knowing their whereabouts at the time, and so forth. Having that point of comparison is not optional, and I know to most of you that this is all blindingly obvious, but apparently that's not the same for everyone. I've only belabored the point this much because thousands of humans, and no doubt a ton of bots, took this evidence and made it the central pillar of their grassroots manhunt. And when called out for sharing a fake picture of the suspect, some defended their choice by stating it's the real image, but AI enhanced. Yeah, some people genuinely seem to believe that a glorified chatbot can perform miracles, and that's why we're all doomed. Oh hi, it's me, again, from before. 3 seconds ago. Real quick Patreon interlude. I know everyone hates these, so I'll make it fast. You can get access to videos without YouTube censorship, your name as a patron in the outro, or as a Patreon producer, your name in the intro sequence. Oh, and there's a free tier for project updates and stuff. Like, subscribe, comment, it all feeds the algorithm. The vast majority of viewers don't subscribe, so apparently I'm supposed to guilt trip you about that, so there you go. Pretty much every upload is either restricted or completely cut off from monetization. But the world's ending, so who cares? Do consider supporting a human creator if you like their stuff. It doesn't have to be me, it can be someone you like a lot more. And then you can tell them that I said to do that and that's why you did it, and then they'll think I'm cool. And, I don't know, approval will improve my life in some way, I suppose. Anyway, this part's over. While it was cutting-edge tech behind those false faces, much of what causes us to lose sight of reality is nothing new. Often, it's the innocuous that leads us astray, and once we're off course, it's easy to slip into the realm of conspiracy. A broader exploration of the theories that have emerged in the wake of Kirk's death may be worthwhile, but only when the dust has settled. For now, we're going to single out a few of the ones informed by videos of the fatal shot. First, though, there is something I need to stress. What follows is not an endorsement of the official narrative. There are still too many unknowns, and it's hard to have faith in those behind the investigation. I wouldn't trust Kash Patel to feed the class hamster, never mind run the FBI, especially given that we know now the beginnings of the investigation were delayed because he was adamant about having his big boy jacket.
You mentioned the thing about the patches and the gossipy stuff, which I know you laughed it off on Twitter, but on X, but they're saying, oh, he refused to get off the plane in Utah after Charlie Kirk's assassination because he wanted a better fitting FBI raid jacket. Is that true? And does fashion really make the man, Kash?
It's 100% false, as you know, and if Eric Swalwell wants to come online and talk about what jacket size I wear, I'm happy to send him a women's medium so him and Fang Fang can go out again.
That those leading the charge lack credibility only increases the importance of us following credible evidence to where it truly leads, and that's why we'll be focusing on things that can be definitively proven right now. The footage we'll be examining was unavoidable in the days that followed Charlie's murder. A handful of clips saturated the internet until it felt like the world had witnessed his tragic end. What that says about us, ethically, is up for debate. But regardless of whether we should have been watching, what we were watching wasn't exactly crystal clear. While there were studio-grade cameras on site, what they captured has not been made public. Out of respect for the dead, I feel that's for the best, but some believe the choice to keep those recordings under wraps belies a sinister motive. As far as I'm aware, that notion is only backed by assumptions for now, but things are always changing, so that might be different by the time you hear this. In any case, the circulating videos come from two sources: live streams and the phones of those in the crowd. While not pristine, live streams have the potential to provide clear evidence, though their visual clarity will always be impacted by the concessions required for real-time transmission. Modern smartphone cameras can be comparable to the professional gear of not too long ago, so in theory, they can provide pristine evidence. But on this occasion, that's not what we got, as the nature of their viral spread meant that what most saw was far removed from the source. The handful of seconds shared ad nauseum passed from one person to the next through posts and DMs was screen recorded, downloaded, then re-uploaded by whoever felt compelled to share a take.
Again, I needed another angle. I found this video, and this one's a little bit harder to see, but you can see something go down into the back right-hand side of Charlie. So
the process continues to churn even now. But why is analysing evidence disseminated in this fashion a terrible way to seek the truth? Well, to the detriment of humanity, a ludicrous number of us use these content-sharing platforms, which means an endless stream of uploads. Over 3.5 million videos added to YouTube per day, Twitter facilitates 6,000 tweets per second, and I already want to throw up, so I refuse to add a third example. All of that data has to go somewhere, but instead of throwing most in the trash where it belongs, media monoliths rely on data centers. Those data centers house a ludicrous number of data drives which are connected to servers. These servers are the middlemen, so while it's the drives that house the content featuring impossibly skinny K-pop stars, it's the servers that actually serve naive teens the inspiration to pursue that eating disorder they've been considering. Since storage space is pricey and social media corporations aim to maximize brain rot while minimizing costs, it tracks that they'd want to trim every bit and byte possible. In simple terms, they compress the life out of whatever we share. Now, in an effort to avoid boring you or myself to death, I'm not going to give a thorough technical breakdown of how video compression works. Most platforms use H.264, so we're just going to cover the most relevant methods it applies. For a comprehensive overview, I recommend this exceptional video by Tom Scott. Trust me, it's interesting when he's the one saying it. For us, there are two space-saving methods to care about in order to explain how something as benign as shrinking a file can lead to accusations of murder. The first relates to the quantity of colors.
Your eyes have twice as many luminance receptors as they do color. That means when you look at an image, you're going to see greater detail in the black and white than you are in the color. This leads to the concept of chroma subsampling. At a fully sampled video signal, we're at 444, like an RGB 444. Every pixel of color has its own unique values. We can subsample this down by 422 subsampling, where every 2 pixels has a unique color value, reducing by 33% our overall bandwidth. If we want to save even more bandwidth, we can go to 420 subsampling, where every 4 pixels has the same color value, reducing us to 50% of the original bandwidth.
This is the cause of color banding, a hard line between shades where there should be a smooth gradation. Side effects like this are called image artifacts, and outside of a lo-fi edit, we don't want them around. The second method works by reducing detail wherever it'll be least noticeable. Several factors determine what gets the chop, such as movement, because if it moves, it matters, level of detail, if an area contains lots of similar pixels, who's going to notice a little simplification, focus, if it's in focus, presumably it's important, and lighting. If an area is well lit, we're meant to see it. So in effect, anything that this kind of criteria deems to be less crucial to the overall image will be simplified. The repeated application of these techniques is what leads to that washed out, pixelated, overcompressed look, because each pass strips out more information and replaces it with increasingly inaccurate approximations. Results can be worse still if third-party sites or apps are used to grab a file, since they apply their own indelicate procedures too. Then we have the high-effort sleuthers making edits on top, cropping, zooming, slow motion and the like, before their export adds compression of its own. This manner of torturous treatment is what led to the bombshell discovery of a second shooter. No, hold on. It was just an unarmed potted plant. But forget this innocent flora because there's a better theory to demonstrate this problem. The claim? The real assassin was positioned behind Charlie, and the wound we saw was actually an exit wound. Most who voiced this belief seem to have watched one clip, then decided they're ballistics experts. I'm sorry, you can draw arrows and highlight all the neck bulges you want, but you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm no specialist either, so I'm not going to offer an uneducated take on the physics at play. Instead, together we're going to expose the flawed analysis of the evidence that props up the theory. No guesswork required. Here's what we're up against.
Ladies and gentlemen, I now have acquired proof that the FBI's official story is false, whether knowingly or unknowingly. We're going to have an entire monologue and talk about a lot of these things after I show you this, but if you take nothing else away from this video, you need to see this.
This is YouTuber Range Daybro, and there are 2 things to know about him. Firstly, the man knows guns, and they are his channel's main focus. And secondly, he's been deeply entrenched in the decentralized investigation of Kirk's murder. Now, let's take a look at this proof of his.
And in that video, you can see the same, what appears to be the bullet coming down, and it does line up with the actual gunshot itself.
So you're not counting gang violence. Great.
So this video was created by a friend of mine who is a Marine. You'll see him here at the end. This is the angle he is showing the shot coming from. showing where Charlie was sitting and the angle of the shot, which will correspond with this video here, which unfortunately we will blur out Charlie's face, but we will show what is necessary to prove that this was an entry and exit wound. So you'll see him circle the highlighted area right there, and you'll see the exit wound corresponding after, a split second after, as it would from an entry and exit wound. So in this footage, you can clearly see that Charlie is shot from his back right, and there's blood splatter coming out of the entry wound immediately after a shot. The first arc is kind of down, as if it's just gushing out from the entry wound. And then the second shot corresponds with when his head kind of snaps forward, that fluid then flips up in relation to that motion. So you can see there's that second splatter flipping up into the air.
YouTube demonetizer, or demonetization robot, I guess, stay your hand, because that grey smear is not blood. In a video as ill-treated as this one, it's impossible to tell what it is, but that didn't stop our bro from going all in.
But let's just one more time look at this shot. You see, bullet comes in that circled area. You have the blood splatter go down, then up, and then immediately after, you see the exit right here with the skin being pierced, and then the exit wound emerges. And again, that is not a far distance for a bullet to travel, whatever the caliber is, whether it be 5.56, 308, 30-06, it's not even a debate at this point. It doesn't matter what caliber killed him. What matters is that the official narrative is not true. Again, whether the FBI knows or not that they're lying, but this is 100% conclusive evidence that Charlie Kirk was shot in the back of the head.
So what is it actually? Well, Charlie wasn't one for jewelry as a rule, but there was one deeply meaningful exception: a cross pendant. As well as being a symbol of his faith, it was a gift from his wife, one that brought him comfort in dark times. While both the pendant and chain can be seen with the naked eye in this picture, here it is in an adjusted form to increase visibility. Due to referencing poor quality media, it has been mistaken for an earpiece, the shoulder strap of a bulletproof vest, and blood, as is the case here. Only recently did it become possible to confirm the smear to be Charlie's beloved gift because Jason Goodman, aka Crowdsource the Truth, obtained and shared the original 4K recording. Or so it had seemed until I took a closer look. The clearest warning sign that this footage has been mishandled is how washed out the colours are. The colours themselves are not that relevant to us, but for the sake of addressing it, I'll just say it's the result of high dynamic range video being improperly processed and leave it at that. What matters is that Goodman's claim that the footage is 4K, 60 FPS, and HDR is what an old-timey explorer might call hogwash. His compromised upload matches those specs, but the source does not. And while he uploaded what he seemed to believe was an unblemished version later on, it wasn't the uncompressed original either. Sometimes you've just got to do these things yourself, so I reached out to Cub Keller, the eyewitness behind the viral video.
We're at Utah Valley University with eyewitness to the Charlie Kirk assassination, Cub Keller. Cub, it's great to meet you, man.
Hey, thanks for coming out. Glad you made the trip.
Thanks for meeting with me, and thanks for providing the video. You provided one of the most important evidence videos. You were basically standing right here, right? Tell us exactly what happened.
Well, we got here late. I wasn't even planning on coming just because of work. I've got an 18-year-old son that randomly called me and said he wanted to go see Charlie. So, you know, it's kind of a proud father moment, just with how we're seeing everything.
You have an 18-year-old son? You look very good. Well, you're too young to have an 18-year-old son.
Though he's yet to share the keys to eternal youth, he was kind enough to provide me with an iCloud link to the untouched file and a screenshot of its associated info. As it happens, it's actually 1080p, 60 FPS, and yes, HDR. Which, while it might be 1/4 of the resolution Goodman promised, is still the clearest video of the event I've seen to date.
I'm gonna give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
With this far better evidence, it's clear as day that the fast-moving object seen near Charlie's head is this chain reacting to the forces imparted by the rifle shot. It broke around the moment of impact and was thrown upwards, momentarily adopting a shape that resembles an earpiece, which is probably the origin of that misinterpretation. Cub's footage also put another question to bed.
Video footage of chairs morphing through tables.
Why did Kirk's chair seem to pass through the stage? The answer is AI, as many sleuths did posit. However, some drew the conclusion that this meant the shooting never happened. I'd suspected AI upscaling from the off because there's an uncanny look to this kind of upscaling. Edges appear much sharper than the rest of the image, while inner surfaces look painterly in an odd way. I find the latter easiest to spot around creases in clothes. Hopefully you can see what I mean. Later I found a copy with IA in the file name, which I hypothesized could be a typo before remembering that Spanish exists. And what is AI called in Spanish?
Inteligencia artificial.
Nice try, amigos. I'm onto you. Then I thought to run it through an AI video detector and it was 97% sure AI was used. Probably should have done that first. As was the case with the CCTV shots earlier, the manner in which the AI upscaling goes about patching the gaps in low-quality footage involves a lot of guesswork, which in this instance resulted in our physics-bending chair. While the app used did a decent job of retaining the motion of the chair, its position in 3D space got lost in the low-light, low-resolution muck. With that detour at an end, let's return our attention to Range Day Bro, or rather, the Marine friend who sent him the theory. When Range credited him in the video, he also shared what informed his perspective.
So this video was actually provided to the channel by a friend of mine who is a Marine, and I forgot to show you the end of the video here. So this is my friend who actually made the video. I want to just give him a shout out. I will link his socials down in the description below. Again, he is the one who brought this to my attention. This is his video. He created this, he did the drawings on it, and he sent it to me to allow me to use it to show you guys what we're talking about. So he says, I have been shot many times, 3 times to be exact, and I know exit and entry wounds. I have extensive firearms training inside the Marines and the civilian world as well. It appears that Charlie was shot in the back right side of his head and the bullet exited through his neck. The moment I saw the video and he tensed up, I thought, that looks like a headshot given the fact that he seized up. It is a very common occurrence with a headshot. So this dude, of all people, would know what an entry and exit wound looks like on his own body, literally up close in 4K HD, as they say. So if anyone is qualified to talk about it, it is this dude. He is a super cool guy, so please go ahead and check him out.
To be fair, I can see why he felt he could offer an informed opinion. I'd probably have felt the same in his shoes. While his personal experience certainly informs him more than most, he's still working with a tiny dataset. There are so many variables. The weapon, the round, the physiology of the victim, their clothing, how they were positioned, the point of impact, how that impact affected trajectory, how what it hit and anything it passed through after affected velocity. I could go on. Forensic ballistics is a complex science, and having been wounded in action doesn't make him an expert in it for the same reason having a bowling ball drop on my head wouldn't make me a Nobel Prize-winning physicist. I'm being tongue-in-cheek, but to be clear, I have a ton of respect for the man. To catch a bullet multiple times and still return to combat, that takes next-level bravery and deserves to be applauded. I don't think either he or Range Day Bro had any intention of misleading people with their opinions, or that there was any kind of malice behind their coverage. On the contrary, I think they were sincere and fully believed what they said at the time. This notion is supported by a later video where Range Day Bro admitted to his mistake.
So most likely what we see blow off and what I was thinking and what I was calling blood splatter from the back right side of Charlie's head.
This is 100% conclusive evidence that Charlie Kirk was shot in the back of the head.
Is most likely his necklace.
100% conclusive.
This would correspond with the video footage that I showed as the blood splatter because you can see how it's bent that way and it could be bent down and then it would be bent up here in just a second. Obviously it's going too fast for this video. This
100%.
That set the record straight for over 180,000 viewers, which is great. Now let's check on how that first video is doing real quick and... oh. Well, that's alright. It's only like 6 million more than the correction. Let's pretend there aren't 6 million people walking around with a lie in their brains, and let's ignore the fact that Bro is still pushing this same theory by running tests with this homunculus of a weapon. Bro. Tyler's rifle was literally an antique. It fires a completely different ammo type. The dummy you use doesn't even have a body, and it's stuck on some planks. The chain flies in the opposite direction, so does the puffy shirt, and you're pointing to it like, oh, look how similar the shirt is, guys, while 2 inches above, the neck is flying off, and...
For full disclosure, I do want to mention a few things that are incomplete about this test. First and foremost, I work backwards based off of where I believe the shooter to have been and using Google satellite images to estimate distances and elevations and angles of the shot. And I'll put all that information down in the description below if you guys are interested in seeing the exact distance and angle that we shot this with, as well as the caliber and all that. You can find that all in the description below. I'll mention some of it as we go. But because of that assumption of the shooter's position, as well as using very vague and generalized numbers from Google Maps and satellite images, I came back with a test that did not react in the exact way that we saw on 910. However, the way that the dummy did react is extremely telling and does point to the back right shot, but it wasn't perfect. You guys know I'm going to be conducting another test in the future. Now, what are the inconsistencies I'm referring to? First and foremost, this is a bust dummy, so it is just from the collarbones up. It does not actually include the chest cavity, which we clearly saw expanding after Charlie was hit. Also, given the rough measurements that I had estimated and the lack of a venue that was appropriate to carry out the shot, we had to make some modifications to even the estimated distances and angles and things like that. So we actually took the shot at a 17-degree angle, even though I had estimated it closer to a 20-degree angle. We also had no concrete data on the degree of deflection of Charlie's seat and where he was sitting based off that back right shooting position, so we had to guesstimate that. And once I had got up in the shooting position, it was a little difficult to get into. I didn't have time to go back and adjust the dummy because I could clearly see from where I was standing that the bullet would not exit in the front left where we saw it on 910, and it would exit more so out of the side around this area, which is exactly what we saw had resulted.
Let's ignore that bro's still pushing the same theory and shift our attention to one final fairy tale. I could explain it to you myself, but only the theory's loudest defender can really do it justice. Please join me in welcoming Val Venice TM. He's about to vomit some stone-cold truth into your waiting mouths, my beautiful baby birds.
Take a look at this man right here, folks. This is Charlie Kirk, security guy. He appears to have a palm gun in his right hand, and he aims it at Charlie Kirk and squeezes the palm gun, firing off a round directly into Charlie Kirk's neck. I suspect he was aiming center mass, and the bullet may have ricocheted, maybe off the cross or something else that was hard, and ricocheted up into his neck area. As you can see, folks, in the right fist between the middle finger and the ring finger is the barrel of the palm pistol. You see him squeeze the palm pistol, firing off a round into Charlie Kirk, murdering Charlie Kirk. Now, if you pay attention to that right hand, it's going to go down into that left tricep area into a hidden pocket. You can see him stuffing that palm pistol in there. His right hand emerges from under his arm, empty-handed. He then puts his hand on the rail, leaps over the rail, and comes to Charlie Kirk's aid like the good assassin, security guard that he is.
Originally designed in 1882, the palm pistol is a discreet self-defense weapon perfect for those days when your musket-carrying arm is a bit tired. I know a lot of folks listen rather than watch, so if that's you and you're struggling to envision such a thing, imagine trying to crush a metal coaster in one fist. But said coaster has a tiny barrel that peeks from betwixt your digits, like a curious earthworm. Mr. Venice TM has convinced himself that he sees such a barrel between the fingers of Palm Pistol Ricky. But if his highly visible Victorian-era pea shooter isn't convincing enough, the view from behind the real assassin will put any doubters in their place.
This video is from behind the assassin, and as you can see, he lifts his right fist up. That right fist contains the palm pistol with the barrel sticking out between the middle finger and the ring finger. He squeezes the palm pistol, firing off a round. You can even see the bullet and the bow shock swirl. There's the bullet and there's the bow shock swirl, both caught on video, folks. This angle is from behind the assassin. This angle caught the bullet and the bow shock swirl, folks.
There you have it. The handful of white dots in the clip are bullets and the bow shock swirl caught on film. Take him away, boys. Now, in case anyone is perturbed by my treating the palm pistol like it was only ever used to make Jack the Ripper think twice, there's something I must confess. There was a modern version of similar design produced in small numbers. It looks like plumbing, fires a single .38 special round, and it's rarer than a lion takes its steak. The company responsible, Constitution Arms, attempted to classify it as a medical device because it takes so little force to fire that an arthritic grandma could use it. No, that's not an exaggeration.
All right, here we go. Pushing the red button in 3, 2, 1. Oh! She not be kicking. That is a very light recoiling round, and I can totally see why they went with 38 special, but I think I would enjoy it a lot more if it was chambered like 500 Magnum or 50 BMG maybe, or Heck, even 4-bore would be nice.
I only bring that up because bow shock is an effect caused by a bullet breaking the sound barrier. We're talking about a tiny round leaving a tiny barrel propelled by a weapon designed to be fired by folks who struggle to open a milk carton. All things considered, the chances of that thing reaching supersonic speed seem rather low. What is Val showing us then? Well, unfortunately, I've lured us into another tidbit about compression. So that space-saving tech from earlier isn't applied holistically to a frame. Instead, each frame is split into a grid, and each square on that grid is a macro block. Think of them as pieces of a puzzle, but that puzzle is changing all the time. Keeping existing pieces is more efficient than making new ones. So if a space in our grid goes unchanged in a subsequent frame, then perfect, reuse it. That's simple when things are static, but what about movement? Well, if a spot on our grid has changed, the algorithm is going to check if the piece that was there is somewhere else in the image. If so, then it aims to redirect that original block to its new spot. Effectively, it's sliding our puzzle pieces around rather than drawing them again, provided data matching those pieces still exists somewhere else in the image. Sounds fine, but the implementation is far from perfect. There's a prediction element to this motion compensation, and sometimes those predictions are incorrect, so blocks end up being misplaced. When we refer to a video as pixelated, what we're seeing is often the edge of these wandering macro blocks. A few misplaced squares doesn't sound like a big deal, but remember how the system works. It gets its information from those previous frames. That means these balked frames become the basis for the ones that follow. As far as our encoder is concerned, they are a legitimate piece of the puzzle now. This can lead to a cascade effect that manifests as artifacts creeping beyond the area our wandering pieces were meant to approximate. And as we covered earlier, parts of the image with varied color and strong lighting are prioritized, meaning dark, shaded areas suffer most. Armed with this knowledge, when we examine the supposed barrel of the palm pistol, what do we see? A mess of cubic nonsense that's at its worst in the shadows and reaches beyond where those shadows should end. Higher quality footage helps but isn't required. Val's allegedly stolen clip alone is enough to prove he's barking at nothing. There's still the matter of that other angle though. You can see the bullet. While there's no one I trust more than an angry bald man with a voice like a gravel pit, due diligence is still important. So let's do a quick bullet recount for confirmation. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the swirl, which likely wouldn't exist even if this horseshit were true. So either it was Tupac's drive-by out here, or Val has misidentified a few more artifacts. Fortunately, he's a man of integrity, so he's kept an open mind and a level head, thus avoiding making a fool of himself.
You can see the slight bend down in my left arm as I am completely relaxed. In my right hand, down by my side, my fist contains the palm pistol. Watch my slightly bent, relaxed arm suddenly straighten as I use it as a brace and for aiming. At the same time, you see my right fist containing the palm pistol come up from behind my left bicep. I then aim at center mass and squeeze off around. And as always, I hit my target center mass in the center of his chest. However, my bullet hit my target's cross. Fortunately, my bullet ricocheted upward into my target's neck. So me and my team, we are getting paid, baby. My name is Palm Pistol Ricky. Catch me if you can.
Alright, never mind. Rick here was actually a member of Kirk's security team who turned to chuckle at what would be Charlie's last words, and he had the nerve to scratch his arm while doing so.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
It could be argued that it's easy for me to poke fun at people like this when I have the unfair advantage of better evidence. That's true. It is easy, and I do have an unfair advantage. That's kind of my point. I can make Mr. Venice look unhinged, A, because he acts that way, and B, because I didn't grab the first Tetris tier clip I saw and use it to accuse a security guard of homicide. Wait, hold on, breaking news. He's found the quote-unquote 4K footage. Surely he'll drop his palm pistol theory now.
Folks, this was Rick Cutler right here that appears to lift his right fist containing the palm pistol.
Oh well. I guess Val Venice, TM, is simply a guy who won't accept the truth. Your crypto, on the other hand.
Catch me if you can.
The problem for the sane among us is that our minds have a way of using the unclear as a canvas for our imaginations. We've probably been this way forever. I mean, take the constellations. Whoever decided this looks like a crab just really likes crabs. And that's fine. I've got all the time in the world for space crab. He does no harm floating around up there. But down here, we find ourselves in dire circumstances. I've tried to bring a hint of levity, and have definitely brought a heap of cynicism to this subject, but if you take anything from this video, it should be that we have a real problem. The misinformation blossoming in the wake of this tragedy is coming from all angles. It's being used to manipulate us, and has poisoned what should have been a period of mourning for some and contemplation for others. The inflammatory rhetoric, the baseless claims, the disrespectful reactions, much of it was the work of machines and foreign influences. There were and are real people lying and being crass, of course, but they were boosted by the same forces to make falsehoods appear credible and paint a disrespect for the dead as pervasive when it isn't. Though I think it's often an unwitting side effect of biases fed by sincere beliefs, a lot of internet sleuths and conspiracy theorists are contributing to their nation's decline. I don't really believe online sleuths are a bad thing at all. Open source intelligence is a powerful tool, and communal investigations can achieve great things. The issue is that it takes time, focus, and clarity of mind to do things right. And anyone who means well should abide by that, because thousands having heard the facts means little when millions heard the lie. In situations like this, corrections aren't good enough. There are enemies out there who mean you harm, and it's not the ever-nebulous they who stands for everything you don't. It's nations we can point to on a map. It's terror groups we can name, and the dipshit kids they groom to be killers. While recording this script, Twitter rolled out a feature that shows account locations, which prove my point about deliberate foreign interference. Are millions of people feeling dumb for playing the blame game now? If they aren't, they should be. But no, of course they aren't. They're doing exactly the same thing with the next newsworthy topic right now.
Pew, pew, pew. It's mental illness. Ooh, it's mental illness. Yeah.
I see what you did there, Karma. I see what you did. Not bad. Some of you may not believe in karma, but I certainly do, and I'm not talking about that exotic dancer in Dallas. Anyway.
There's an imbalance between the ease of telling a lie and the difficulty of proving the truth. Our actual adversaries are taking advantage of that, and the democratic world is making it way too easy for them.
Before you retweet the next viral post, ask a simple question. Who benefits if I believe this immediately? When something violent and emotionally charged happens, the real fight starts afterwards online. That fight isn't about justice or truth or even the victim. It's about who can make you angrier, faster, in order to cause conflict, sway your opinion, or make money. On this particular topic, using these 5 phrases, roughly 26% of the interactions were inauthentic. It means a quarter of the people that you likely interacted with don't exist or are Russian or Chinese bot farms trying to get you mad. This doesn't mean your anger about this incident isn't real. It means someone, most likely our adversaries, are trying to aim it at you. If you watched a clip, you shared a screenshot, you dunked on the other side, odds are pretty good that you interacted inside a manipulated environment designed to keep you mad and keep you clicking. So before you retweet the next viral post, ask a simple question. Who benefits?
Those of us who value truth and aim to seek it need to set our preconceptions aside, leave personal politics at the door, and shut down that part of our brain that's convinced there's a crustacean in the stars. Online sleuths, don't stop. Do better. With his mouth the godless man destroyeth his neighbour, but through knowledge shall the righteous be delivered. It would be remiss of me to end this video in any way other than talking about the figure at the centre of it all. While I'm not religious myself, Kirk was devoted to his faith, so this Bible quote felt like the perfect place to start. It stresses the importance of the words we choose, and how knowledge is what protects us from those who aim to do harm with theirs. Charlie was a charismatic man with a compelling voice, one that shaped the views of those who heard him speak, whether they agreed with him or not. Though many people felt that he spoke for them, he didn't. Not really. When he shared his personal beliefs, so many people heard an echo of their own, amplified through the platform he'd built. What he actually did for his fans was represent them on a grand stage. But that's something entirely different, because those who felt represented were still here to express their agreement, here to explain the nuance of their views, here to change their minds if something ever came along to cause them to do so. Likewise, those with differing views were here as well, able to walk up to the mic and engage in that debate. Charlie Kirk is not here. This son, this husband, this father, he didn't deserve to die, and no one deserves to die in the way he did. But now he's gone, and thousands of rabid jackals are snatching at his legacy, twisting his image into one of angelic purity.
The more I learned about him, I thought, this guy's a modern-day St. Paul. He was a missionary, he's an evangelist, he's a hero.
Or demonic evil.
Charlie Kirk was a satanic presence. Changed my mind. That a father and a son and a husband is no longer on this earth. I will not celebrate that. But I will tell you, I will not actively mourn either that a satanic presence is now gone.
Neither is accurate, neither is fair, and as a man of God, he'd take issue with both.
I gave my life to the Lord in 5th grade in the suburbs of Chicago, Christian Heritage Academy. It was presented incredibly well. I knew the stakes. I understood the consequences, that I don't earn salvation. I don't do good things to get to heaven, but I am so broken. I fall short of the glory of God every day. I covet, I envy, I have jealousy, and every year as I grow, that means more to me, the more I realize how broken and how sinful I am and how much the world needs Jesus. And the more I study the Word and I study the Scripture, the more I want to bring it to people that are lost. And you might be here on this campus, and it's a little different.
While Charlie the man is no longer of this earth, Charlie Kirk the icon remains. His voice still has power, but he's no longer the one who wields it. Instead, that voice has been hijacked and his image puppeteered by those without shame and those for whom no amount of power is ever enough.
We will not have a normal show today. I want to talk to you about what has happened over the past 24 hours. There's a lot of news breaking about this shooting and the hunt for the assassin. As I record this, most of the reports that are coming in are unconfirmed, so I'm not going to comment on any of those specifics until the details are confirmed. Well, Charlie tried to have conversations with you on the left, and you killed him for it. You have been openly cheering for and celebrating and encouraging and committing political violence for years. Antifa, BLM, well-funded, highly orchestrated, widespread movements based in and fueled by violence.
And let me tell you something I'd not share with anybody, but the last message that Charlie Kirk gave to me before he joined his creator in heaven was he said that we have to dismantle and take on the radical left organizations in this country that are fomenting violence. That was the last message that he sent me before that assassin stole him from all of us.
There's no proof of this alleged message, by the way. But if you want to take the word of a guy whose own family described him as the face of evil, then don't let me stop you.
If everything completely goes away, how do you want to be remembered?
I mean, if I die?
Everything just goes away. How would you, if you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. Most important thing is my faith in my life.
Charlie Kirk, thank you so much.
You guys do a great job. I wish it could be longer. This has been amazing.
Since September 10th, 2025, no matter how brazenly they abuse it, he'll never get the chance to protect the legacy he built. And make no mistake, the abuse will continue.
And you can see from behind me, this is a recreation of the tent where Charlie Kirk lost his life at Utah University in September, and people are taking selfies with it.
His tragedy will suffer as justification for things he'd never have condoned, and as a card to be played when further division will provide an advantage. His image will act as a valuable prop for those who stand to profit, either in wealth or in influence. And through these acts, his memory will fall to ruin. Through these acts, the real Charlie Kirk will cease to be. It's all very depressing. And what makes it even sadder to me is that I can't shake the feeling that Americans, both those who loved and hated Kirk, are going to let vultures put words in the mouth of a dead man. Alright, since we can't go 5 minutes without something insane happening, I've been forced to interject on my past self who had a touch more hope left than I do now. Since I began working on this video, there's been a whole bunch of crazy stuff happening in the US, and it's reached a point where I think a lot of people just kind of want to scream. The ice murders, backing the accused in the Epstein files, the transparent collusion, and that Second Amendment is starting to look a bit shaky too.
Do you think he was acting as an assassin in Minneapolis?
Who's that?
Mr. Freddie, your deputy chief of staff said that. You don't think so?
With that being said, you know, he can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns.
What about the Second Amendment?
Listen, you can't walk in with guns. You can't do that, but it's just a very unfortunate incident.
What about the Second Amendment, sir?
As predicted, Kirk's name is being invoked to either justify or deflect from all of these things when he was staunchly opposed to every one of them.
What's your opinion on the Phase 1 release of the Epstein files? Do you think it was more of a PR stunt with Pam Bondi because she just got into office? And do you think it was right for her to call out on Kash Patel? What do you think is actually going on? And do you think that she genuinely has the files or people are destroying them? And what's going on there?
Well, I think they got to make this right. I mean, we as the American people deserve to have every Epstein file released with no redactions whatsoever, period.
Right.
And so yesterday, I don't want to comment because a lot of these people are my friends, but they got to make it right. And we, the American people, ran on transparency. We deserve to see the entire client list. Yeah. Every document the government has regarding the Epstein files, we, the American people, should have on an easy-to-access website immediately in a very, very quick fashion. I'm pushing for that both privately and publicly, just so you know. Yeah. But as far as the client list, that very specific thing, I don't know if it still exists. I'm worried that was actually deleted, destroyed, or disappeared. But look, statute of limitations for child sex trafficking goes for 30 or 40 years. We should impanel a grand jury, and every person involved in the Epstein child sex trafficking should go to federal prison for the rest of their life. Every single person. We need justice, and we need these people in federal jail.
And setting Charlie aside for a second, how is there any support for this from actual human beings left? Is that you ordered? Where's all that the only good was a dead energy now? I guess I might as well be the one to deliver the news. The culture war is over. Congratulations to Team Red and Team Blue, who in a conflict they were convinced was one-on-one, somehow both managed to come in third place. As we speak, the most powerful country in history is being led by the world's most forgetful predator, a closet gay Cabbage Patch Kid, and the reanimated corpse of a medieval bathhouse wench. Oh, and she kills dogs too. Kills dogs and thinks admitting to that is a good idea. She wrote that down. And don't even get me started on this slug again. This absolute creature, who wasn't born but simply emerged from mold, growing on a cavern wall, spent 4 decades scuttling through the woods and gnawing on the bones of lost hikers, then decided to make himself the world's problem. I guarantee that this freak's rotting manhood won't so much as twitch if he can't hear children crying.
Therefore, there's the way to go. Because culture people can live. Culture is a celebration of life and human dignity. We need to remember that as we enter these very dark and dangerous times in the next century. And I only hope that many of my peers and people who will be leading this country will appreciate the value and respect that Trishul shows towards other cultures.
A lot of you guys do seem to be seeing through this decade-long deception now, but for some incomprehensible reason, there are still Americans clinging to the mast of their respective sinking ships, like Aquaman is about to burst from the ocean and take a stance on trans bathrooms.
I think a lot of us have understood for a long time that there is a class of people that exist above accountability, that exist kind of above even like the concept of the nation state, that there are people out there who have so much wealth and so much power that they live in a totally different world than we do. And what the Epstein files are showing us is just how true that actually is, and also just how depraved that level of power and wealth can make people. And it's amazing that it is really kind of bringing in a lot of folks who in other issues don't agree with each other politically, but we are all beginning to realize, right, left, Republican, Democrat, down here in the real world, we actually are just there to be exploited by a small group of people who in some ways are just kind of running the world for their own benefit.
Maintaining an us versus them mentality between regular left and right-leaning Americans now is to deny the mountain of credible evidence that you're all getting played from the start. Yes, a lot of you got tricked. Yes, a lot of you said a bunch of reprehensible shit. I'm not even saying you should let bygones be bygones and let a bunch of the terrible stuff that's happened slide. I think that's actually a bad idea, and for the worst offenders, there should be severe consequences. And yet, many of the most powerful people in the world seem to be involved in things that are beyond heinous. Wait, this is actually a perfect moment to get the late Mr. Kirk's opinion on how child predators should be treated.
You could fund
Force
the
kids
government
to watch it.
You could have like brought to you by Coca-Cola. And no, I'm not kidding. By the way, I would totally tune in to see some good get their head washed down. Convicted by a jury.
By the way,
peers.
that's gonna get.
No, I'm talking about a real thing. You don't celebrate it. You just say, look, this is what they did. And if you do this, this will be your fate. Ready, set, go. Boom. End of life.
The plan of the rich and the powerful appears to be to let people burn themselves out digging through millions of files, while maintaining the plausible deniability that having no further investigation will grant them. And they'll be doing that in the hope that people just kind of accept that this is something that the mega rich do, or simply get bored to the point that it just becomes normal. It's background noise. It's an open secret, and we all know the guilty parties have gotten away scot-free, but we'll move on to the next thing that we feel like screaming about, and forget all about this. And you know what? It sure seems like a bunch of you holdouts are ready to do that, for the sake of people who would skin you alive if it amused them. So, with that in mind, I have one final thing to say. In the immortal words of Charlie Kirk, prove me wrong. You dumb cunt.